Hey, what's up everybody? This is Tim from Arm Wrestling Secrets, and I wanted to talk about another thing for the beginners today. I wanted to talk about what happens at an arm wrestling tournament, okay? I know there's a lot of things that, I remember when I first got into arm wrestling, I always wondered what really happens when you get there. When you get there, what do they take your weight, and how do they ask you, what do they ask you about, and how do they take your money, and how does it all work? You know, how do the weight classes work, and how do the pro and the amateur, and how does it all come together, okay? And I've never really seen anybody do an arm wrestling video on it, or a video on that experience. And so I remember thinking that could hold people back from arm wrestling. It's just those little things it's kind of like when you're going to a place for the first time and you don't really know the way. There's a certain apprehension there. You're a little bit nervous, okay? It's the same thing about arm wrestling. It's like before you go to your first tournament, there's 1,000 questions that you have. Never mind winning or losing. That's the worst part. You're worried about what's going to happen when you're on the table. What about getting to the table? What about your name getting called? What about the order of events that has to take place from driving to your house to the tournament? And I wanted to do a video on that today, okay? And so here we go, okay? And of course, keep in mind, there's a lot of different organizations, and I've arm wrestled in all of the different organizations as far as I know, on both coasts and everywhere in between, okay? But I'm not going to use any specific examples because it doesn't matter. They're all changing, and sometimes there's new ones, and sometimes those disappear, okay? So let's just say in general, let's just say we have a regular town somewhere in the United States that's having a arm wrestling competition. Let's just say it's a city somewhere. Some regular sized city is having an arm wrestling competition, okay? That's normal for everyone to understand, okay? Somewhere in America we're having an arm wrestling competition. You live 10 minutes away. Okay, now more than likely you've heard about this arm wrestling competition. Now, for the most part, I think obviously certainly in the future, now that it's 2021, things are going to get fairly digital. You're going to be able to probably sign up online for a lot of tournaments in the very near future. I know you can do that on some anyway, but I'm sure that's going to be incoming. But let me just tell you how it's kind of gone all my life. I'm a little bit of an old school guy. I was always used to paying cash to usually an old lady at the arm wrestling events, and I'd usually buy a shirt and hopefully they had some water or something like that. And some of you guys, some of you OGs in the arm wrestling space are laughing right now. Okay, but I'll say this. Okay, so the arm wrestling event's 10 minutes away. You've heard about it. Okay, now they're going to tell you a weigh-in date. It's going to be on the same day as the tournament. Okay, so let's say the tournament is at 3 o'clock. Let's say the tournament starts at 3. Let's say you're a man, obviously. Let's say the tournament starts at 3 o'clock for the men, and that's what it says on the pamphlet that you have, or the sheet you've seen online, whatever. But the weigh-in might be at like 11 a.m. Okay, it's going to be several hours before, not too long before. It's not usually going to be the day before unless it's a really major event, and I've seen that. I've seen weigh-ins usually like the day before if it's a really big event, where people might have to fly in like international events or things like that, or really big national events. And that's normal because people are coming from all over the place, and they have to, their schedules have to match up coming from different parts of the country. So they give them a couple of days to weigh in, and then they'll have the tournament. But for the most part, in your normal small town or even big city normal tournament, they'll have the weigh-in on the same day. Okay, so you'll know your weigh-in date before you go. Okay, let's say the weigh-in date's at 11 a.m. Okay. And they'll have a weigh-in time between 11 and let's say 12:30 or 11 and 1, something that's pretty close to the tournament. If the tournament's at 3, the weigh-in time, that's pretty generous. And the reason it's pretty generous weigh-in time is because that's the only time they have to take your money. And okay, I don't mean that it's too much of a joke, but that's true. That's generally when they would, and like I said, when they start taking it online, if they start doing that, they might start taking it before the tournament, which I think is probably a smart thing to do, because that's going to make sure the people actually show up that are interested in it. But when you get to the tournament, in my experience, you would go at the weigh-in time. Okay, you'll show yourself. Present yourself to the weigh-in person, which is usually the guy running the tournament, okay, or the referees, okay? It's not some special weigh-in guy from some weird agency, okay? And you'll get on the scale, okay? And usually almost 100% of the time on the pamphlet or whatever you've read online, regarding the tournament, it will say what the weight classes are, okay? And obviously you know what your weight is and where you need to be or what your weight is. So usually, they're very exact. If it's 190 to 199 and you weigh 199.6, you'll be in the next weight category up. Okay, and that would put you at a big disadvantage weight-wise. I'm not going to say you'd lose. I mean, it doesn't really work that way, but I'd say, well, if you're putting yourself at the bottom of a weight class, I'm not saying that's an advantage. That's a big disadvantage, okay? So if you're 190 to 199, ideally, you'd want to be 198.5 or something like that, okay? So pretty close to the upper limit, but you get the idea. You would go to the weigh-in person. You would weigh in, and here was the thing. They would ask you, generally speaking, they'll always have and I touched on this in an earlier video, they'll have an amateur or novice category, which is kind of for like beginners, people that aren't seasoned arm wrestlers. And then there'll be like a pro category. And like I said, you don't have a pro card. There's nobody that's going to tell you you can't compete in the pros. You can compete in the pros if you're a seasoned arm wrestler, but I would suggest against that if you are not. You're going to get beaten bad and fast, and it could be bad for your arm, okay? But there will be a category above novice, okay? It won't just, usually it's not just everybody comes unless it's a really small town, okay? No offense to really small town tournaments, but they usually have a separation between the better people and the people who are just beginning. You separate yourself into one of those categories depending on where you are, and obviously if you haven't been to a tournament, I'm certainly assuming you're a novice or an amateur. So you would choose amateur, beginner, or novice, one of those three categories, and then you would get on the scale. They'll have a scale. You'll weigh in. You don't have to take your clothes off, okay? You'll keep your clothes on, okay? And they'll give you a weight. Based on your weight, that'll be the weight class. Whatever your weight is, you'll fit into whatever weight you is. If you're 183 pounds and the weight category is 180 to 189, then that's the category you're in. You're gonna take on everybody in the 180 to 189 pound class, and that would be your weight class. Now, here's something to remember. And this is one of those things. This is why I wanted to cover this, because there's some details here, actually, okay? Now, part two, okay, that's your weight class. Now, it's also right or left arm, okay? So I suggest you get better with both arms, okay? I suggest you arm wrestle with both arms. Not everybody does that. A lot of people, if they're right-handed, they just go do the right arm, okay? But you get two chances to compete no matter what. Each arm you compete with, you get two chances. So if you compete with just one arm, you only get to arm wrestle twice. If you lose both of those matches, you have to go home or sit out the rest of the competition. And if you do it with the left, you have two chances as well, even if you lose both of those matches. And keep in mind that a very small percentage of people are left-handed. I think it's like 20% of people are left-handed naturally, and 80% are right-handed. So usually a lot of the people in the left-handed tournament are right-handed, probably just like you. And for you left-handed people, that's a big advantage. You got a big chance of winning that tournament if you're a really good left-handed arm wrestler, because it's kind of like left-handed pitchers. They're pretty tough. And so when I go against a left-handed person, like arm wrestling, who's really left-handed, and a good arm wrestler, I can't win usually because they're just too coordinated, okay, on that side. But I do suggest getting good with both. I have a different technique that I use with both arms because the coordination is so much better with my right. I can do a lot more with my right. I'm much more fluid than I am with my left. But getting back to the point, coming back to the competition, you'll be able to choose in your weight category. Let's say you're 183. In your weight category, there will be a right and a left-handed tournament, okay? And you'll have to pay a fee, usually pay a fee for the right arm, which is usually all my life it was $30 an arm. Some of the guys are laughing right now. $30 an arm. And so it might be $30 or less, but $30 an arm, let's say, and I don't know what the price will be at your next tournament. I'm just saying that's a guess. That's just like a random number, but let's say $30 for the right arm. And then if you want to compete with your left arm, it'll be $30 as well for the left. So you'll be looking at $60 to compete with the right and the left. And you would have two chances minimum. I mean, it's a two minimum. You have two chances to. It's a double elimination. That's what I meant to say. A double elimination tournament. Okay, so you can lose twice and you're out. Those are the official arm wrestling rules. Okay, so throughout the whole tournament, if you lose your first match, okay, then you have to win your next one and your next one and your next one to stay in the tournament. If you lose your next one, then you'll be out of the tournament. Okay, and I think you all know that. Okay, but anyway, so you will then pay your fees, okay? But this is the detail I wanted to touch on before I close the video, really, okay? Is they'll usually, almost always, because it's a money, I mean, the people who are running the arm wrestling event, they want to make money, and I would too if I was running an arm wrestling event. You want to make the maximum amount of money, so what you do is you open it up to larger weight classes, bigger weight classes. Okay, so the weight classes above you, let's say you're 183, 180, 189, then there will be a 190 to 199, let's say. I don't know what the weight classes are always different at all these different tournaments, which bothers me, but sometimes they're all over the place, and sometimes they're much bigger, which I really hate, but whatever. There will be a weight class above you, and then there'll be a weight class above that, up until you get to kind of like a super heavyweight type category, which is just like however heavy, right? They'll usually give you the opportunity to arm wrestle at weight classes above the one you are in weight-wise. So you can arm wrestle the guys that are 190 to 199. You can arm wrestle the guys that are 200 to 210 or 220 or 250 or 300 or whatever if you wanted to. I'm just saying, I wouldn't do that in your first tournament, certainly. I would certainly just try in your own weight class at first. You can't arm wrestle below your weight class, obviously, okay, which I think would be, but you can arm wrestle above your weight class. So that's what's kind of cool about arm wrestling, is if you want to have a lot of opportunities to arm wrestle, you can, but you'll have to pay. So if you want to work in the next arm wrestling class above you, let's say you're 183 and you want to take part in the heavier weight class above you, then you would once again choose if you want to do right or left or both, and then you would pay fees for those arms. Okay, so if you're wanting to do 3 weight classes or 4 weight classes, you'll have to pay for each arm in each weight class. So it's not going to get expensive, but you can spend a little money. I spent several $100s buying myself into weight classes at arm wrestling tournaments, but that's the fun of it. I wanted more opportunities to arm wrestle, and I actually found myself doing pretty well against some of the people that were actually heavier than me, because I found in many respects they were actually slower and my technique was better, and they were more, a lot of the bigger people, really big, not really big, but at a certain point, some of the bigger people I took on, I realized they counted on their strength a little bit more and their technique less, and they weren't as fast because they didn't really need to be, because they were used to taking on people their own size. And there were some advantages there, and I felt like I could use against them. So you can learn a lot from taking part in the classes above you as well. Once you get into some tournaments and you do it a few times, I definitely suggest trying, and it doesn't matter if you lose, I mean, just give it a try. Try the weight classes above you too, just to give you more experience, and will make you a better arm wrestler. So the last thing is people want to know, okay, I paid my fees. Okay, so you pay your fees, you picked your classes, you picked your arms, you know what's going on, no matter if you're doing one weight class or multiple weight classes and multiple arms. Okay, they'll tell you when the tournament's going to start, 3 o'clock. Okay, and that's going to be for everybody. And keep in mind, you may not get called up there first, probably not. There's going to be probably a weight class before you, and if there's one table, it's going to take a lot longer. If there's 2 tables, they'll be running 2 different tournaments, and then there might be men and there might be women. I don't know. It depends on the tournament. But there's going to be different things going on. All you need to do is know when your weight category is going to be called and what table it's going to be on, and that'll be made very clear to you. And you'll be surrounded by other guys that are in the tournament who will be in your weight class, and they need to be up there too. Okay, so what's going to happen is you're usually going to sit, and it's basically like the funny thing about a lot of arm wrestling tournaments is a lot of the audience is the arm wrestlers that are waiting to compete. You're sitting there waiting to compete, and you're usually watching from the audience, okay, in my experience, or kind of somewhere on the sideline somewhere. So you're kind of watching and waiting to compete. And what you're waiting for is waiting for your weight class to get called. And I would really suggest, especially if let's just say you're competing in one weight class, really keep an eye on all of the arm wrestlers that are in your weight class and watch them arm wrestle, or watch their matches, okay, and watch for things they're doing. Watch for their technique. A lot of guys, especially beginners, you're going to stick with 1 or 2 really basic techniques, and if you can kind of see what they're doing, you can use some of the things you've learned on this channel to counter that, okay? But you'll make sure to pay attention at the tournament to your opponents and kind of what they're doing. It'll give you a little bit more advantage when you get called up against them, because you'll say, well, I've seen that guy, I got to arm wrestle him now. I've kind of seen what he's doing, and I think I know what he's going to do, and maybe you'll have a better chance of winning, right? But that's just kind of a little piece of advice when you're watching the arm wrestling, is focus on what the other guys are doing that are in your weight class, okay? Because the other guys, for the rest of it, it's theater. It's just getting to enjoy the arm wrestling, but make sure you're really kind of focusing on your own weight class and what they're doing, especially if you're focusing on winning this tournament, right? And you'll have a better chance of winning. But what's going to happen is, and this is where you get a little nervous, especially once the tournament starts. You start getting nervous especially if it's your first tournament. If you've done a few tournaments and it's just excited, but you're still nervous. You're always nervous, okay? But it's fun nervous. It's good nervous. It's like before a basketball game in high school nervous. It's exciting, and it's fun, and that's what we all love about the sport, okay? It's because you never know. It's like it's win or lose. When you go up there, it's going to be hardcore. It's going to be the other person doesn't want to be embarrassed. They want to work out hard, and they're going to do their best to win, and you know that, and you're going to do the same. And so that's what people love about the sport. Is it's serious, but it's also really fun to compete that way. So what's going to happen is eventually, once your tournament starts, they're going to call your name, and that's your time to come up there. You have 30 seconds to come up there, or a minute. They'll set some kind of a time frame or something. They usually somebody doesn't get kicked out of the tournament or something like that. But they'll give you a little bit of a time frame to make it up there. So if you get stuck in the bathroom when they say, hey, whatever your name is, come to table 2, it's your turn to arm wrestle, and you're on the toilet for 5 minutes, okay, you might forfeit your match, okay, and that's a really bad way to lose, okay? So make sure when your tournament's going on and your name might get called, make sure you're present. Don't go wandering off getting food down at the local mall and hope that they don't call your name, because that's usually when they call it, or whatever. And the weight classes can flash really fast, especially if there's not a lot of competitors. And what you'll probably notice is that there's not a lot of competitors. There's really usually not, especially once there's weight classes, 10, 20 people in a weight class, that's a lot. Okay, and sometimes it's a lot smaller. I've done arm wrestling tournaments where there's 2 people in a weight class, or 3 or 4, things like that. So anyway, that's kind of the basics on what to expect. After that, you just got to get up there, set yourself up, keep yourself composed, and we'll go over this on the table. I want to break up my table in some of the later videos, obviously, and we'll go over a lot of technical stuff in terms of arm wrestling competition preparation and things like that. So I don't want to say too much about that. I just wanted to get you kind of mentally prepared for what to expect. After that, your name gets called. You got to do what you do best, baby. You got to get up there and arm wrestle, and you got to drop whoever it is that's across the table from you, right? I'll see you in the next one.